Welcome to this week's edition of Dirty Data here on the fourth period. That's Aaron Ward and Shane Kelly. I'm Dave Pagnotta. And gentlemen, let's talk positively for, for once about one of the top teams in the NHL. The Pittsburgh Penguins are 16-3 in their last 19, all regulation losses, but it's just three. They are dominating lately. They're catapulting themselves up the standings, just like everybody expected. Uh, what's going on? How come this team is this good?
Yeah, I'll tell on myself. I was getting ready to eulogize this Pittsburgh Penguins team this summer. Stories were writing themselves. Guys are too old. The windows were closing for this entire team to win a Stanley Cup. Pittsburgh hasn't addressed yet what was going on in net. And the same old stories, and now we're having to contemplate the departure of some of the guys that have been the key cogs for this team. Maybe Malkin was a trade bait piece. Maybe Letang was going to go on the way out because everybody needs a defenseman. And instead, we're talking about the team overall successfully maneuvering their way through the National Hockey League with zero expectations coming into the season from many. And I consider myself one of those guys. So it's not that it's being done on special teams, 21st in the power play. So that tells me clearly this is a team concept doing great things at 5-on-5. Sullivan's done a great job with the penalty kill, number one in the National Hockey League. So as you look at the stats that matter, the goals for and goals against differential, this for most teams around the National Hockey League, the Pittsburgh Penguins have won a great differential. I was shocked when I looked at it at .8. So what is being done by management group, Burke and Hextall, whatever it is, they have magically found a recipe to get this team position at this stage of the season going into February. Blahs are about to happen where, I mean, they're respected, highly respected, and a lot is expected of them to finish out the season.
Yeah, it's funny. We talked last week about Edmonton, who are in a similar situation. They've got 2, 3 guys who are taking up a big percent of the cap. Unlike Edmonton, Pittsburgh has found a bunch of help in the third round or later. They've got Rodriguez off the scrap heap as well, Rust and Gensel from the third round. And these guys are all doing it at 5-on-5, like you talked about, Wardo. This is a group that is fifth in the league in puck possession. They're sixth in the league in expected goals. They're dominating the goals at 5-on-5, like you talked about. So that tells me this is a sustainable run. It's not luck. It's not flash in the pan. We don't expect them to come crashing down to earth in the second half. This is a group that, Malkin's almost like a trade deadline acquisition, but I think you could defend going out and getting another piece if they think there's a weakness here. And you mentioned Jarry. I mean, I don't know where this came from, but man, he has been kind of top 3 or 4 goalie in the league this year.
The amazing part too of Malkin coming back, if you watch him, there's no rust, there's no lack of sharpness to his game. Yeah. He came immediately back, integrated himself in this lineup, and looks like he's missed no time. So it's another, if you're sitting in that locker room, a confidence builder, not having to wait for a star player to get acclimated to the flow of the season. Pittsburgh is in a fantastic spot right now, quietly.
Yeah, really, because again, I don't think many people would have expected them to win 16 of their last 19, or at least that stretch at any point so far this season. We touched on Tristan Jarry, top 5 in pretty much every goaltending category so far this season. He was an all-star in 2019, or in 2020, excuse me, and he kind of just stepped in there because I think somebody went out. This year, he's earned that role. How important has he been? Like, we talk about the 5-on-5 play and the way that they can spread out the offense, but Jarry has to be one of the MVPs, if not the MVP of this team so far.
I preach the fact it's the same concept with defensemen, that a lot of times there's a maturation process that's required. And I think that people just realized they had to wait it out. And the fact that he surprised everybody as quickly, I mean, it comes down to experience. You look at the guys that are in there now, young guys are almost overwhelmed. Jarry has had some time, but not to the point where you're saying, okay, solidly, this guy should take this position and run with it. I think that's where, again, the stories that develop in your locker room are some of the things that are catalysts or catapult your team forward to that level of excitement and the belief that you can get it done. And he is a key story. The D-core has been pretty good, but he is the type of guy when we talk about goaltenders needing to be game stealers, and why you look at Pitt and say, hey, listen, the style of play they're playing, it lends itself to the playoff style that's happening, and he is a good story for a team that's doing great things.
Yeah, and you can look behind him a little bit and look at things like his high danger save percentage. some numbers that kind of tell you, is this sustainable or is this guy just getting really lucky because the team's suppressing a lot of chances? He's fourth in the league in high danger save percentage. He's second in medium danger save percentage. So he's doing the things to tell you that it's not just a New York Islanders style situation where they're just suppressing chances completely and, whoever's back there, like it could almost be a pylon. No, this guy is playing really, really well, and it looks like it's going to continue. So if you're the Penguins, you can have an off night. You can have a game where your offense doesn't need to carry you, and you can expect Jarry to play up to a level that they'll steal a game. And I think that's new for this group in the last kind of even 5 years, really, since Fleury left.
And the other element, and we touched on it, is spreading the offense and doing it 5-on-5. They have 4 players with 10 or more goals. Gensel's got 21 at the time we're doing this. And they have 4 other players with 8 or 9 goals on the season. Being able to count on your goaltender the way they can and being able to spread the offense the way they can. We touched on sustainability. Wardo, do you think this can be consistently done in the second half of this year?
If guys keep producing the way they are, because here's the issue with the National Hockey League nowadays. You generally focus on how you defend a team, and you usually focus on a line or two. The fact that they can spread the offense, tactically, it's tough to match those things up because your top pairing D, the fact that we're in the cap era now, you usually put your money into your best defenseman. They usually draw the top line. If you can get an equal amount or parity production out of 2 and 3, you're in a very good place. And I think that's where Pitt's at. That's the surprising part, is you're finding the offense and the production from people other than the constant of Crosby and now Malkin back in the lineup. It should come as almost not a shock, but a worry for many of the teams that are coming in on how to actually set yourself up to play against Pitt right now, because it's not the same old Pitt of just waiting for Crosby or Malkin to eventually take over the game. Rodriguez, I mean, that's a name, we've mentioned him now. It's a great story, but it's also concerning to the opponent as they come in to play this team.
Yeah, again, you look at the shooting percentage for this group. Normally when you have this many guys who are scoring at the rate they are, especially when they haven't done it before in their careers, you kind of go, okay, is somebody on a heater here? Is somebody shooting like 2-3 times their career average? And that's not really the case. Sure, guys are a little above, but it's not like they're going to come crashing back down and all of a sudden Evan Rodriguez isn't going to score for 20 games, that sort of stuff, by the numbers. So to me, again, it's the story is that it's something that's sustainable, so you don't have to go out and worry about, okay, if I get a piece, are we going to crash here? This is a team that should be loading up to try to win a cup this year.
There's the other unique perspective for this team in the locker room. I don't think they've been able to adopt this mentality, and this is this. With Florida, with Tampa, with Carolina, with the solid teams in the East that they compete with, they've never really been in a position of being the underdog team most nights, right? So now you can harness that in a different way. So the young guys aren't accustomed to being, expected to. Now they have to earn it. And I think that's what's happening with Pitt, is every night they're coming in with a workmanlike attitude and pounding on teams and overwhelming them with just the effort and the the relentlessness of the style of play they're playing with currently.
Well, they're in good positioning right now. If a couple points back to the New York Rangers for first with a couple games in hand. Carolina's right behind them, and they've got a little bit too. But they continue this run, gentlemen. It's going to be an exciting time for the Pittsburgh Penguin fans out there in Pitt the rest of the way. We'll keep tabs on them and the rest of the league here on Dirty Data. That's Aaron Ward and Shane Kelly. I'm Dave Pagnotta. We'll see you next time.